Yep, I was right. I was right. That was 20 minutes and 36 seconds. Now that video was 20 minutes and 36 seconds. Sometimes I have trouble with it if I go over 20 minutes. Something to do with this iPhone, I think, or I think it's something to do with the iPhone. But if I go over 20 minutes, but I'm on my recap of my life story, history, whatever you want to call it. And I'm on 1970 to 1980, and I already recapped about the gym class. And I graduated in 1977. And so let's see. There was video games from 1974, I think. Atari 2600, I think, came out in 1974 or 75. And then I was hooked before that because the arcade, like the bowling alley had a arcade machine with Pong on it. So me and my dad went to the Magnavox store, where they sold everything Magnavox, and I'm going, I want me a video game, and he's going, oh, that's impossible. You can't do that on TV, and because it's at the arcade on special machines, but not on TV. They said you can't even get sound to the, you can't do this. You can't do video games on TV. That's what the Magnavox guy said, the salesman. What a dork. But anyway, so we bought the Magnavox, the Odyssey. It was just the Odyssey, not the Odyssey 2. And the Odyssey had no sound. You just had a square ball on it, and you put different overlays on it and different cards in there, and it's kind of boring. It's boring, really boring. And then Atari Pong came out with just Atari Pong. It sold for like $200. They couldn't keep it on the shelves at Sears because everybody bought it. So, and then later on, I think it was in 75. I think that was in 74. And then in 75, Atari 2600 came out. And then shortly after that, like the ColecoVision and television and different 8-bit system came out. And I had like 26 or 28 systems. I forget how many systems. But and a bunch of cartridges that went with them. But anyway, that was like 1974, 75. It had been because my dad died in 76. He died April 3rd of 1976. That was our bicentennial. That's the United States bicentennial year. Bicentennial. By meaning 200. It's 200 years in the United States, and that's when my dad died. And he was a Vietnam vet. No, don't say it. I don't know why I said that. He was a WW2 vet. He wasn't a Viet. He had nothing to do with Vietnam. He was a WW2 vet, and so he was a World War II vet. My dad, and he died with full honors, with a flag over his casket. And I talked about in my first video. I don't want to talk about that anymore. And he died of a heart attack, and my mother died in. See, I'm talking about 1970 to 1980, so I can't mention my mother yet because she didn't die until 89. So she died on June 18th, 1989. So I'll talk about that in my next one, okay? So this is 1980, or 1970 to 1980. So I had the ping pong thing going. I had the certificate of excellence from the Marines, being in top physical condition. The only thing I ever had wrong with me physically was my ear, my right ear. Okay, so I can't get water. If I get water in it a lot, then it gets infected. And when I delivered at furniture store, where you gotta lift heavy stuff like hide a bed over your head and stuff. Actually, this is part of it because I got a job just after I got out of high school. That was the happiest day of my life, graduation. No more school. All right, yeah, no more school. Oh yeah, I got my driver's license in 1976. I started driving myself to school in 1976. Had a Datsun truck. And I got for $1,400. It was a 4-on-the-floor Datsun truck. And so I drove myself to school because I got my driver's license in 1976 also. See, when my dad died, I got his Social Security until I turned the age of 22, and I was still a full-time student. So as long as I was a full-time student, I got paid because my dad's Social Security. That's just the way it was then. I don't know what it is now. But right after I got out of high school, I started working as a furniture delivery a couple months after. I think I started, let's see, we graduated in June, July, August, September. So it wasn't until September, October, I got a job as a furniture deliverer. And I impressed the owners with my strength and ability, and they liked it. It's just I didn't want to learn the roads, you know. I didn't want to learn the roads. It's just not my thing. I don't want to learn the roads, so I let go there because they wanted me to be a driver. So I got just let go there, and I went to another furniture company, and then that one didn't work out either. The guy was an asshole. He was an asshole, but you know, I worked there for a couple months, and while I was working there, I entered. I went to a college, Kalamazoo Valley. So Kalamazoo Valley Community College. And this is still 70s, so that was about 78. I restarted because I graduated in 77, so 78 I restarted school at Kalamazoo Valley Community College. Took a bunch of sports classes like physical fitness class, one physical fitness class, and tennis, and then advanced tennis, and then golf, and bowling, and let's see, bowling, we just went to a bowling alley and learned it, but oh yeah, that's right, when I was a kid, I was on a team for a couple of years, but then I wanted to stay home and watch Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? I just wanted to watch that, you know, while my brother went to bowling, so anyway, when I was in Kalamazoo Valley, I did a lot of sports class, volleyball, golf, tennis. I took an English class. It was a big waste of time from 78 to 79. Let's see. Yeah, 79. 78, 79. Yeah, so I went about 2 years. I went about 2 years to Kalamazoo Valley Community College. And it was just a waste of time. It was, you know, school in general is a waste of time, but, you know, unless you really, you know, want to learn something, which I never really did. But now I like history, you know. I hated history back then because you have to know these dates and that, and have to pass the test, and, you know, when I'm forced to do something, I don't like it. So, but my mother, you know, my mother was my my motivator, because she says, hey, if you quit school, hey, and you gotta go somewhere else, you know, or, you know, I'm gonna kick your ass, or, you know, something like that. So I stayed in school. I would have quit, man, if it hadn't been for her. I would have quit, definitely. I hated school. But you know, she'd make my breakfast in the morning, 4 pieces of toast and a cup of chocolate with butter on 2 pieces and peanut butter on another, with a little bit of butter on the peanut butter. And then that was my breakfast every morning, and she fixed it. So, and she got me up. So, hey, and she drove me to school up until high school. Then my brother did. I rode with my brother because he was in 12th grade when I was in 10th, so I rode with him. And he was a smoker, and we got into it a couple times about that. I got tired of that shit, smoking in the truck, you know, because we had a Ford truck. And we got into it. That was bullshit, you know. I didn't know he smoked until then. Well, actually, I had an idea because he stunk like that all the time. And I quit being social and quit being, you know, football, basketball, and baseball player. I quit doing that back just before junior high school, or just after. I was done with everybody, and so. Guess 1970, 1980. Okay, and that was Kalamazoo Valley Community College, and I was into our MTV was the end of 1979. That's when MTV became, and so MTV. I love rock and roll videos. Wow, man, that's when I really got into music. Before that, I didn't. My brothers before me did. You know, they were in like the Beatles and stuff, and so I know some of the Beatles songs that kept playing all the time. You know, my oldest one, not the one that's 2 years older than I am, but he didn't play it that much. If he did, it was all by headphone. He has an ear problem too, though. So, and my older brother doesn't. So, and like I said, I have one sister. She's the oldest. Then my brother, he's the next oldest, and my next brother, the next oldest, and then me. So I'm the baby of the family. And okay, so that's up to 1980. That's up to 1980. From 1970 to 1980. 1980 to 1990 was all rock and roll. I mean, MTV rock and roll videos, yeah. I didn't just like regular music, you know, just not in the radio unless I was just in the car listening to it. That's the only time I listened to music. But when MTV came on with videos, wow, that was great. I love the videos with the rock and roll, yeah, beautiful. And then I was also playing video games, you know, the newer video games and stuff. And so 80 to 90. Okay, so my mother died on June 18th, 1989. June 18th, 1989. She died of lung cancer. Well, she was a smoker, and so was my dad. But she went in the hospital saying that she couldn't breathe. You know, after like 20, 30 feet, she couldn't breathe anymore, and had a really hard time. So they diagnosed her having gallbladder stones. So they set up a time for operation, took the gallbladder and stones out, and yeah, she had a lot of stones. But and then she came home recovering, right? And okay, this is 1980 to 1990. So she came home recovering from the surgery, from the gallbladder surgery, and then the doctor, then she was okay for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And she started breathing the same way again. She couldn't go very far, like 2, 3, 20 or 30 feet, and she had to really breathe hard, stay that way. And she went to the hospital again, and they told her they took X-rays and said, no, you got terminal cancer. You're gonna die in 6 months. This was 1988, December 1988. You know, by Christmas, they said you're gonna die in 6 months. About December 18th, 1988. So I saw her go from walking normally, breathing normally, to using a cane to walk, to not be able to do that, and having to have a wheelchair, or have someone cart her around. And from wheelchair, she went to the bed. She went from laying down, setting up, and then walking to the bathroom. And, well, that was a very short period of time. And then she wasn't able to walk to the bathroom, so now they put a catheter in with a bag on the side of her. We had a hospital bed after that. So then they had a bag with a catheter in her that she pissed in, and she urinated in, and because she couldn't go to the bathroom anymore. I mean, she couldn't walk to the bathroom, so now she was able to set up, or she was only able to lay down. So, and she was awake, most of the time, sleep normal, and maybe a little longer. And then she started sleeping all day long, and then only getting up for morphine, only yelling, for morphine, every few hours. And I had to give it to her because I was the only one living there, so I had to give it to her. And after that, she was sleeping most of the time, like I said, almost all the time. And then the final stages of death, she was on hospice, so she was able to stay home and die at home because that's what she wanted, you know, because hospice is like the service that does that. So they said that once this bag doesn't go up, because it had lines on it, lines on the urine bag that the catheter was going to, and they said once she doesn't put out this much of urine, death will ensue, fast. So she didn't put out that much urine one day, and then after that, she was dead the next day. It was in the a.m., like 3 o'clock, I think, 3 o'clock a.m. And my sister-in-law stayed there because we knew she was in trouble. Once we saw that she didn't put out her urine, the amount of urine she should have, so she stayed. So I'm glad she did, you know. That way I wasn't the only one there when she died. And she died that night, which was in the morning, about 3 a.m. So, and the very last stages of death, when you're talking, I don't know if it's just talking lung cancer or, because see, the reason she had trouble breathing is because the body will isolate any part of the body that is threatening the life of that body. So what happens is it builds up water under the lung, okay, and it collapses the lung more and more and more until it's collapsed. And what they did the second time when she went to the hospital is put a hose in her. They put a tube in her and drained it off, okay, and then she had to take some medicine and stuff, I guess. But then, you know, that's why she couldn't breathe, though, because there was water building up underneath the lung and collapsing the lung. And so, anyway, the final stages of death is mechanical breathing. She, you know, she's just breathing normal, maybe a little hard, but then she started going. And she did that for, say 15, 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden, nothing, and her body went limp. We called the ambulance and had, you know, they came and got her, and she's dead, and took her away. And that was the end of her life. June 18, 1989, I seen it, all the way from walking normal to bedridden to breathing mechanically. Once they do that, it's all done. Nothing you can do. Except build the dirt over them, you know. Okay, so that's 89, so that's 90, 1980 to 90. And I forget what I was doing in those years because I was in, you don't think right when you have a close relative like that, like your mother, dying. So I'm kind of sketchy. Kind of sketchy on what I did those years, from 88 to 89, you know, 89 and the rest of 89, 90. Okay, so 90 to 1990 to 2000. That's all video games, and I like the reruns of the 80s rock and roll. Love that reruns because rock and roll is over in as of 1990 because of rap. Rap sucks. I don't like rap. It's not singing. It's nursery rhyming, and they call it gangster rap. So it's, you know, for adults. You know, why when you're an adult you gotta be stupid? Like you gotta start drinking. You gotta start smoking. You gotta start taking drugs. You know, what the hell? I mean, kids start taking drugs and stuff, but what the hell? You know, why you gotta start drinking coffee? Why you gotta start drinking booze? Why you gotta start smoking and drinking? My mom and dad didn't drink booze though. They didn't drink. They smoked. That's the only thing they did, and they didn't smoke anything else other than regular cigarettes. So sad. But they were good parents. But anyway, see, I got the house. My mom signed the house over to me, just, you know, a couple months before she died, and so my family hated me for that because they felt they were owed something, which they weren't, because my mother says who it is, because she was the owner. She got it through my dad when my dad died. So my mother was one. But anyway, I still did a contract, and I just did a verbal contract and a physical contract, but it wasn't binding because when you have a binding contract, you have to have notary public sign it. and it has to be witnessed by another person to be a legal binding contract. Otherwise, someone could just hold a gun to your head like that, say, "Okay, sign it," or you're dead. See, that's why you have a eyewitness too. Plus, a notary public is a person assigned by the state to be a verified person and trustworthy person. That's what a notary public is, and you get that from a bank or any lawyer. Lawyers or any bank, they have to have a notary public, and I think the library has one too. But that's to make any document legal. You have to have a notary public. That's the person assigned by the state to be trustworthy. Okay, so that's 1990 to 1989, 90. Okay, 1990 to 2000. I bought 4 houses from 86 to. Actually, I bought 4 houses in 1986, and I was a landlord from 1986 to 1990, 92. 1986 to 1992, I was a landlord with 4 houses, and then I bought a 5th house. So I had 5 houses. Then I got out of it and filed bankruptcy in 1992 for my first time, and rejected all the properties, and I have no more to do with them. So and then I had 1990 to 2000. I had in 2000 I quit. I got fired from my Total Plastics job because I wanted to. Because when they had mandatory overtime, I said I didn't come in. I didn't come in, and I didn't call in. So and then the boss goes, "Where were you?" You know, at the end of after Saturday, you know, when we started working on Monday. I said, "I wasn't here, was I?" And then okay, that went like that. And then the next Saturday, I didn't show and didn't call, and it was mandatory overtime. And then they called me in the office and says, "Okay, you're done." I said, "Okay." So I was able to, I wanted to get fired so I could look for another job. So I looked for another job, got another job at Bentler as a lower control arm, as a robot welder for lower control arm. So I made $8.50 an hour. It was going to go up to like 13 after a couple months. So I did okay there. But then I was also still looking, so I got a job at Intercal. Intercal makes entire bleacher systems, and I already talked about it in the other video, where the bleachers for gymnasiums, for public schools and sporting events, spectator seating. Made $17 an hour there, and I was off 6 months on unemployment and on 6 months for working. And 1 year I worked full year. I made $49,000. That was the most I ever made 1 year. And okay, so that's 90 to 2000, and also part of 2000 Intercal, because I worked there until 2005. So okay, 2000 to 2010. Let me stop the video again. 2000 to 2010.